Hi everyone. I'm here to talk to you about I'm just looking over there at my list, the Children's Book Council of Australia's shortlisted books in the picture book category. Now, the picture book category is an interesting one because often when we think about picture books, we think of books for little kids. The children's picture book category is not that. Okay, these books are for children aged 0 to 18, so you are going to sometimes find books in there, picture books that have content that are not suitable for primary school children. And so therefore today I'm actually going to only show you 5 books, because one of the books, which is called The Inheritance, by Armin Gerber, is, I don't think, going to have content that is suitable for our kids. Just going from the past, and I have to admit that I haven't actually looked at the book, but going by past experience with his books, they are quite dark, and often they're not borrowed. So I've just made the choice not to borrow this one. So let's get started on the ones that I do have. Okay, the first one, The Boy and the Elephant. Okay, I'm going to say this is one of my favourite ones. This is a wordless picture book. So it requires the children to really look really carefully at the pictures. Now, if you are a classroom teacher, you may find that you need to get a document camera to show the pictures on your larger board. I have used it just with the book, and the kids have been able to see it. But if you really want to go into the detail of it, then this would be then a document camera would be useful. Now, this is the story of a young boy who's lonely, and he finds solace in the garden next to his home. There is a lot to talk about how Freya Blackwood gets her story across just in illustrations. Looking at his face, looking and then it pulling away and showing his home, and where is he in this, and there is the trees, and why would it be that there are trees there, and him going to school, and what does this mean when you've got things running by. So there's some beautiful illustrations, and just talking about how we can use illustrations to tell a story without actually having the words to do it. Now, this is the story of a young boy who is lonely, and the trees mean a lot to him, and it's about what happens when it looks like those trees are going to be taken away. Have a look at it. The next one, Stellarphant. This is just a great feel-good book, but it also teaches kids about persistence. That if someone says no to you, and it's something that you really do want, you need to find ways to make sure that you can try and achieve it. So in this case, Stella wants to be an astronaut, so she goes to Space Command and asks to become an astronaut, and they keep throwing hurdles at her. Now, it's really important with this book that you actually start at the end papers, because the story starts at the end papers. Stella is coming in, and you go through even with the title page. So these pages are really important. So again, you're looking at the visual literacy of it. This is written in, I would say, a graphic novel format, using panels, speech bubbles, and the kids really enjoyed this one. Okay. There are some words that you will need to go over with them. Things like the word approval. What's approval? What's Space Command? What is what's it called? Manager. What's a manager? Those kinds of words. So some great talking points to have in that one. The next one, Blue Flowers. This one breaks my heart. Okay, it's about a child, and I'm going to say I have to use the word child, because at no point in this book does the author or illustrator refer to the child as a he or a she. So the child can be seen from any point of view. And that might be a talking point that you have with kids, is that, you can't base gender or sex on ways people look. Okay. Now, this child is lonely, and hates school, doesn't want to go to school, because they see themselves as different. And it's what happens when they sort of come to the realization that it's okay to be different. And they use the word different in this book rather than unique. They actually use different, and so that might give you an opportunity to actually talk about the language. what does different mean, what does unique mean, why might we use the two different words. So that's a great one. It is really sad though. From a parent's perspective, it's sad. Now this book, Iceberg, is about the seasonal changes in the Antarctic. Now I have tried reading this with kindergarten, and it is just too difficult for them. I think if you were to read it to younger audiences, like 5, 6 year olds, then it would be one that you would have to be sharing on a very personal level. There are beautiful illustrations in it, so there's no reason to not show the illustrations, but just be aware that the language is quite complex and that the children might not have the background knowledge of the Antarctic to understand what's going on in it. Definitely great for older readers. So some of the languages: in the final freeze of an Antarctic winter, green tails wave across a starful sky, as if to farewell endless nights. If this world looks empty, look closer. Those are penguin tracks, and beneath the ice, orca roam. I actually really love the language at the start when they actually talk. Oh no, that's the next page. When they talk about the iceberg becoming. And I'm just trying to find it. Here it is. In the pale morning, an iceberg calves, shears from a glacier and plunges to the ocean in the haze of a sparkle frost. Okay. So it's just about the seasons within Antarctic, but also about the kinds of animals you see there. So there's a lot of opportunity to talk about migration, seasons, how animals survive, adaptation. And the last one, this one's another sad one. It's set in the future where bees have all died. So there's only one bee left, and it's what happens when she finds a flower and then goes on to find another bee who won't help her try and change things. Now, there's an actual phrase in here which is beautiful, and it is. Let me just find it. Sorry, it's when she meets. Oh, here it goes. So she's meeting this other bee, and she goes, "I just need help," says one bee. "No help here," says other bee. "Help to make it cool. Stop. End," says one bee. "Help to make it change." And so it's a really great book with the older grades to talk about how imagery can be created just through a few words without, it's show, not tell. So this is a great book for that. And if if you're talking about bees and pollination and that kind of thing, I have used it with the younger grades, and I did have to talk about what pollen was, what pollination was, how seeds are made, those kinds of things. So there's a lot of complex issues and ideas within this book that can be explored. And that is actually all of them in that category. I hope this helps. I hope you get a chance to look at these books. They are beautiful, but I have to tell you that some of them are quite heart-wrenching. So just be prepared. Thanks for listening. Bye.